You ever stumble across a deal that just feels a little too good to be true? You find a new place to live, it seems perfect, but there's this one tiny detail you just can't explain. Well, tonight we're diving into a story that starts with a simple bargain. And let me tell you, it ends up somewhere much, much darker. So it all starts with a situation that's super relatable, right? An old house, but hey, the rent is cheap. That's a trade-off a lot of us would probably make. You're willing to ignore a few quirks to save some money. It feels like the perfect setup for a fresh start. And that's really the question, isn't it? When things seem to line up so perfectly, you just can't shake that feeling. That nagging voice in the back of your head asking, what's the catch? Well, in this story, the catch is a whole lot more unsettling than some peeling paint or a leaky faucet. Okay, so let's really break down the house itself, because in stories like these, the clues are always there right from the beginning, just hiding in plain sight. They seem like nothing at first, but when you put them all together, they start to paint a really disturbing picture.
Look, the really important thing here isn't just the cheap rent, it's the history. The landlord casually mentions that the last tenant left suddenly. And then he won't say why. I mean, that's not just a red flag, that's a full-blown warning siren going off. But our narrator, like a lot of us might, just kind of brushes it off.
So for a little while, it seems like he made the right call. The boxes get unpacked, the place is starting to feel like home, and during the day, everything is completely 100% normal. But in this house, normalcy, it has a very strict curfew. And this is where the story really gets going. It doesn't start with a big bang or a jump scare. It starts with a quiet little sound that just keeps repeating right in the middle of the night. A sound that very quickly becomes a terrifyingly predictable pattern. 2:17 a.m. Exactly. We're not talking around 2:15 or close to 2:20. Every single time, it's 2:17, right on the dot. That kind of precision is what makes this so creepy, so unnatural. It's not random. It feels intentional, almost like an alarm clock set by something else. And this is the sound that wakes him up, a slow, deliberate creak. It's a classic haunted house sound, for sure, but the source is what's really unsettling. It's coming from downstairs, specifically from the basement. So he gets up, goes to check it out, and yep, sure enough, the basement door is wide open. Now here's the problem. He knows for a fact that he locked it before he went to bed. That's the kind of detail you just don't forget. Of course, your logical brain immediately tries to find an explanation, right? A draft, the house settling, maybe the lock is just old and busted. So he dismisses it, closes the door, locks it again, and goes back to bed, just trying to rationalize it all away. But on the second night, that whole "it was just the wind" excuse really starts to fall apart, because it happens again. The exact same sound, the exact same open door. What was a coincidence is now officially a pattern. And you guessed it, at the exact same time, 2:17 a.m. This time he even checks the basement itself, and there's nothing down there, just dust, some old shelves, a broken chair. But that door, it was definitely opened. By the third night, he's basically waiting for it. And right on schedule, he hears it. That same long, drawn-out creak. But this time, it's not the only sound he hears. And this is the exact moment that rationalization just completely gives way to genuine fear. The question isn't, how is the door opening anymore? Now it's, what or who is opening it? Because on that third night, whatever is happening is no longer passive. It's active. It's moving. The threat isn't just contained to the basement anymore. It's coming out. After that familiar, chilling creak of the door opening, there's a new sound. A sound that changes absolutely everything. A sound that confirms his worst fear. He is not alone in that house. Footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps coming up the basement stairs. One after another, getting closer and closer. That spooky noise has suddenly become a very real, very tangible presence. And then, silence. The steps stop just on the other side of the door. So whatever was coming up those stairs is now just waiting, right there. He grabs his phone, turns on the flashlight, and reaches for the doorknob. He pulls the door open and there's nothing. Just an empty, dark stairwell. The relief he must have felt would have been huge. But it was just a trick, a deception, because the truth wasn't something he could see with his own eyes. And this, right here, brings us to the final, terrifying piece of this puzzle. Luckily for us, but so unluckily for him, he had set up a security camera. And that camera saw what he couldn't. Just look at the difference here. The assumption, the rational guess, was a faulty lock or a draft. But the reality, caught on that camera, is infinitely worse. The door didn't just swing open. The footage actually shows the doorknob turning. You can see the latch click, and then the door is pulled open from the inside.
And then, just before the recording cuts out, the camera catches it. For just a split second, a pale face slowly emerges from the pitch black of the basement, peeking out into the living room. The visitor has finally shown itself.
So, now you know. You are not alone. There is something living in your basement. It comes out every single night at 2:17 a.m. You've seen its face. Suddenly that cheap rent doesn't seem like such a bargain anymore, does it? The only question left is, what do you do next?